All right, good morning, everybody, on this Palm Sunday. Glad to have you here today. Palm Sunday, that interesting day. I find this Sunday, the festival days of the year, like those special Sundays that you point out. This one and I say this probably every year, but this one and Trinity Sunday I find to be the most difficult to preach. I just find them odd. And so last year I remember Stu preached Trinity Sunday, so I thought, this is the best way to do these. So just give it to somebody else to do. But Palm Sunday I always find to be just an odd day because it is this celebration day. We treat it like a celebration, and typically when we were kids, we would carry palm branches in and that sort of thing and walk in, and and then hit each other with them. That's just right. That's right. And do the little hoopla, and everything. It is treated like a celebration, and then in the tradition that I grew up in, you didn't do necessarily Maundy, Thursday. You might have Wednesday night, and you'd have foot washing. So you do that because, John's gospel, they have foot washing. Or as we called it, it's get foot washing. And which again, as I've said too before, you think it's hard to wash somebody else's feet. It's harder to let somebody wash your feet. It is just so much harder to do that. But and as a kid, one person always told me, well, I end up washing my mom's feet. I surely wouldn't wash anybody else's. I was like, okay, well, at least we're pretending. But then all of a sudden you go from this parade of Jesus, triumphing through the city. And then next Sunday we go to Easter, and it's, he's risen from the grave, and you jump from party to party. But those of us, we've read the story, we know there is this little divot in the middle there is a reason why you go. And so I always find it interesting to jump from party to party. And we know the rest of the story. And so knowing the rest of the story, you read this Sunday really rings hollow in so many ways because all these people, and as Matthew's gospel, because it is written for Jews who are Christians, he spends a lot of his time reminding them of how this connects to their faith, or the way he connects it to their faith, from using scriptures from the past, which we look at this morning. And so we see them all cheering because they're cheering for these reasons that don't end up being the reasons. And then we also know the same voices that cheer today, Hosanna, are the voices just in a few days go, crucified. Right, and so we have a different angle on the story than they have, and it's kind of like when you watch a movie and you go, oh boy, we can tell because of the music something ain't about to be good here, don't open that door, please. So we understand that this story takes a really, really strange twist from where they are today. And again, I want to point out, here we are in Matthew chapter 21, Jesus' final entry into Jerusalem, chapter 21. That means through chapter 28, all about the last week and then the post-resurrection of Jesus. So a little over a third of this gospel dedicated to this very, very, very short window. Mark's gospel, he goes in chapter 11, and there are only 16 verses, or 16 chapters, sorry. So you're, chapters 11 through 16, all based on that last week of his life. John's gospel, 21 chapters. I'm terrible with numbers. 21 chapters. He goes in chapter 12. So almost half of the gospel is this last week, plus John has a lot of post-resurrection interaction, but still, almost half the gospel. Luke is a little shorter because he goes in around 19, and there's 24 chapters. Y'all better check on me on this stuff. He's wrong. He doesn't know. I'm just terrible with numbers, but so about a fourth. So, this last week plays a major, 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 major part of their story. And that's always something we need to keep in mind, is how much this really matters. And especially in our day and age, think about it, only 2 of the Gospels even bother with the birth. So just let that sink in, and think about that next Christmas when you're spending a bunch of money on people. So, but that's okay. Say, well, Jesus only 2 of the Gospels felt like this was important. So, nonetheless, there's that. So, again, this is a story we know really well. And so a lot of times we go, oh, we're going to hear this again. But just think about it and hear about it and see what you hear in a new way. Or what you hear again and how it touches on who you are, where you are today. Okay, chapter 21. Matthew's Gospel. And when they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage and the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 of his disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately." This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet, saying, "Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven." And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" And the crowds were saying, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee." Okay, familiar? Yes, very much so. You probably could just drive near a church and know this, or at least know a little bit about this one.
I had almost understood that it was the colt and not the donkey and the colt.
Yeah.
And it just hit me that was...
Just in Matthew. Just in Matthew. The rest, no. And I don't have a good answer for this because, I was told, I remember some good advice that Haywood Holderness gave us when we were taking Presbyterian polity class, and he said, what you need to do, I would suggest as a pastor, is really pick one of the Gospels that's your favorite, and just really focus on it compared to the other. I mean, of course you're going to know the others, but really, really focus on one. And I've just always picked Mark. I took his advice. And Matthew, I run into him every 3 years, and Matthew is the one that refers back more, understandably so. If his gospel is written to a group of the original people who heard his gospel. And remember, these guys didn't sit down and go, I'm going to write this, and it's going to get put in this bigger book, and all these people for thousands of years are going to read it and really be moved by it. He was writing. It'd be like if I was sitting over there in the manse going, I got to tell this story to my people, this group of folks right here. And what am I got to tell them? And so he's writing to them, and so he does spend a lot of time going back. But I swear for the life of me, Matthew has a hard time at times translating what was written and I guess he's using the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament, or maybe he's not. Maybe he's using the Hebrew. I don't know. But sometimes he has problems with the translation, or maybe he just didn't, he got in a hurry or something. But this is one of those places where he adds them both together, the donkey and the colt, from Zechariah, which we can look at, and he's got Jesus riding both of them. Right. How is that possible? I've always I think, and this is just Neil, because Neil. No, I'm not really good with those kind of things. I think what he's saying was he's riding the donkey and the colt's coming along with it. But what it sounds like is he's riding both. And so in my head, when I read it, and I see him like a circus guy riding, he's got one leg on one, and he's riding, those folks when they ride around the Barnum Bailey and they have two horses and they're riding. I don't think he's doing that. I hope not. That would be kind of.
Well, he could.
He could have if he wanted to, but Jesus does a lot of things that I don't expect him to do. But, and ultimately, it could just be Matthew did a really, really poor job of translating over, and I have to give him that.
So what was he translating from?
You mean, well.
What do you mean translating?
He's looking at, at that point, Matthew, and when he's writing it, there is no Bible. There's the Old Testament, there's the Torah, the law, and there are the prophets, the ones that they have put together. And so, at any synagogue, they have their writings there, and he's reading them, and he's going, well, like the good book says, and he's translating it from over there to writing it down. So he's just quoting from Zechariah. And so, and I know that bothers some people. Will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying that. One of the gospel writers didn't do a good job translating.
I was just curious where he was translating from.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like you did a pretty good job of translating. You got me a little bit attentive to what you're saying about the masses eventually turned on Jesus.
Yeah.
And said crucify him. But that's another piece. But here, I think he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, he does. He just missed
what Jesus said about here's the king, behold the king cometh. And referring back to Zechariah, that's powerful to me.
Oh yeah, he does. I have no problems with that. He writes it as. He's like, okay. I have no problem with it. I'm just saying.
I just don't see
yeah.
the argument.
No, I mean, there is no argument.
And I realize that you've got you understand all the Gospels, and you can see things in the bigger picture, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to be comfortable
Yeah.
with what Matthew's telling me about Christ on Palm Sunday.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm trying to be comfortable with that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to say that he's I'm just saying that the two, when you read the two and you go, how's he riding both of them? But you're right. That's not the bigger picture. The bigger picture is he's connecting him back to Zerubbabel, the king of when Zechariah is the writer. It's the post-exile, and they're coming back in for the second temples being rebuilt. And here's Zerubbabel coming, and he's the king, and they're excited because they're back from exile. The second temple's built. It's woo. We're coming back home. This is great stuff. Zerubbabel's the king. Here he comes in riding on a donkey and humble, and here he is. This is our king, everybody. This is great. This is super. Look at us. We're back. This is so good. That's what Zacharias. And Matthew is picking up on that. Whether he got the one cold or the two back, but he's going, hey y'all, remember this stuff we read in Zechariah, one of our prophets? Remember when the temple was built the second time, and in Zerubbabel, we're back, baby. Jesus is coming through the ta-da. Yeah.
When I read this, I took a little different spin on it. I mean, I know
Sure.
the reason I'm bringing back the colt and the mother, basically the other donkey, is because the colt may not perform well without his mother there. So they brought the mother, so when they carry them both back, the colt would follow the mother.
Yeah.
And when they say he's riding both of them,
Yeah.
no, both of them were leading. Both of them were carrying them there, but the mother was basically just leading the colt.
Yeah. I
mean, that's how I understood it.
wrong guy. I have no idea about animals. All I know is that the king part.
The example you gave about that, the Old Testament example, that magnifies what you were getting at when you said he came in on the donkey and the foal, and they weren't expecting that, so I'd forgotten about that. That
Right.
magnifies that for me.
Yeah. Zechariah chapter 9.
Comes in on a work animal.
I worked in on
Yeah, it's
Like regular king on a horse going into war
yeah,
or sign of dominance. He comes in on a donkey.
humble, right.
Work animal.
And for them, it's Zechariah 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Lo, your king comes to you. Triumphant and victorious, he is humble and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. And so that's what they saw. That's what Zechariah saw when Zerubbabel did it. In the 500s, I guess. And so Matthew's taken that image from stuff that they had read, and he's saying, hey, y'all, see the trajectory here? And Jesus knows exactly what he's doing. And so they see it, and they go, just like Zerubbabel, 500 years ago, or whatever the math would be. Get it? Get it, everybody? You see that? And so it's that's the image that they're living off of. And so it is a major statement of what Jesus is doing. It's also a very dangerous thing of what he's doing. Because in the proclamation of I'm riding this donkey, just like Zerubbabel did when the second temple was rebuilt and they were back and restored. Rome's watching too. And Rome ain't interested in anybody's king except for theirs. So this is, I mean, and so I go, Palm Sunday, yay, and we wave our arms and go, this is a really radical statement Jesus is doing here. It's a very dangerous one. And it's also the leaders of Jerusalem, the puppet leaders, they see it as a problem because they don't want any problems, because they just want everything to be just like it is. If we leave everything alone, we get to pretend like we're in charge and everybody can play like we're in charge. And then we get to be, and then we don't get pummeled. But somebody starts causing trouble, and then what you get. And so Jesus is coming in saying, Zerubbabel all over again. And now maybe he means something different than that, than what they think he means. But
Anything Jesus did was dangerous. And it's also very calculated,
yeah,
everything he did.
this is not a mistake.
He knew this was a danger.
This is not a mistake.
Did the Romans know about Zechariah? Or were they just watching the fact that the people loved Jesus?
I would say that the people, I would suspect that the people who are connected to them through like Herod and the like would know what he's saying. And they know that could lead to uprising, leading to that causes trouble, and Rome would be aware of that.
My other question was, when you were talking about translating,
Yeah.
like Matthew translating, were Matthew, Mark, and Luke, were any of them present to witness this? Because when I looked at the other verses and those three are almost identical.
Right.
With their stories.
Well, we really don't. I mean, those names got slapped on the Gospels later. Possibly John Mark. I mean, he's used probably Peter as his greatest source of information.
Because it's
I mean, we
like
don't know.
if they all three of them translated, they translated from the same place.
Well, that Mark starts it.
Okay.
The general thought is Mark's the first gospel, and then Matthew and Luke translate off of him, and then they have their own other sources, and we call them the Q source, which is German for Q is German for source, so the source. And of course, we don't have that. We don't know where that. I mean, I don't know that there was a Q source, but there were things that they took traditions and statements and put them in and how they would fit what they're trying to communicate to their congregation. And then one more time, John, he's doing his own thing. But so Mark kind of starts it and then kind of translates off from there. But we call them. We don't know. We know that whoever wrote that, there's communities held to this, and this was the source and the base of who we are. And we still hold to it to this day. Okay, what else we got? So we know that he's proclaiming off of Zechariah. He also uses Psalm 118, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. Hosanna. We use that as, it means save us and save us now. They're not asking for what we understand our faith to be. They're asking for deliverance right then, right now. And rides in on a donkey. What do you expect? You think you're going to get, right? And as the week goes on, Jesus spends the entire week telling them basically, yeah, that's not what I'm really doing. Because we think about the stories that come after this, you know, are the widow's mite is one of them. Jesus goes up and looks at the temple and says it's going to all fall over. That's a big story after this. I mean, there are a number. He keeps telling them, Son of Man's going to die, going to be raised from the dead. Tells them that like 2 or 3 times. So, I mean, he spends the week going, I know what y'all are thinking, but this is what I'm thinking. And by Thursday, they all go, yeah, that's not interested. I've changed my mind. Changed my vote. You know? And that's when it all falls apart. So we say. Again, this is the gospel this last week. Sometimes you get the feel that even in the Christian church that we go, boy, you know, next Sunday God has to go out and fix this by resurrecting Jesus. And you're like, he didn't pull this out of the hat later to go, oh God, this really went wrong. We got to fix it now. This is all the way Jesus knows. This is where we're going. This is how it works. This is how it plays out.
Even in the wilderness, Jesus knew that was.
I mean, this is the story.
I see the people back then, kind of like a lot of us right now. I mean,
yeah,
they were all happy to see him come in, but you see in Zechariah, when they proclaim that he's coming, he says, I'm coming in peace. I don't want war and I don't want fight. I'm coming in peace.
yeah.
Well, the people didn't want that. They didn't, you know, they remember the part, oh, he's coming in a donkey. But they didn't care about the peace part. They wanted him to come and conquer them, the Romans.
Yeah.
And, you know, he told them that's not why I came.
Right. And so, yeah, great transition. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Because we only have 2 minutes left. What does it mean for us today? Question is, where is it in the world where we misunderstand who Jesus is in our lives? Where do we misunderstand what he's come for? That we think he's coming to fix everything now and, hey, we're on the winning side.
Answer all of your prayers.
Yeah, he's gonna come in and conquer, and all those people we don't like, he's gonna tear them down. He's gonna take care of them. He'll show you. You just wait. You just wait. And he's like, I don't think you quite understand what we're doing here. Where is it that we miss who Jesus really is? That's a great question. And to me, again, that's what makes Palm Sunday even harder. Not just the hoopla and, you know, because I know a lot of, you know, it's like we'll go from this, then there's Maundy Thursday, which is always why Maundy Thursday is my favorite day, because it reminds me that, You can't get from this party to this party without, there's something that gets in the way. But it also is this challenge that, hey, where does Neil miss who this Jesus is? And I think, yeah, Jesus, we got this figured out, buddy. I know what you're doing. I know who you're about to pummel. Yeah, I hope you destroy them, because I don't like them, you know? And Jesus is like, I'm really not interested in that at all. That's not what I'm interested in the first place. I'm interested in this sense of humility. And that really should smack us right where we are here in how we understand faith in the modern day. It's a great question for us to ask ourselves. Yeehaw. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for your love and your mercy on this day that we celebrate the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem. We know the whole story. Help us not to forget. Help us not to forget that he confronts us where we are too, and that we hear anew that he comes to bring peace to our lives. And may we understand the fullness of the joy of salvation this day and always. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Thanks, y'all.